Thanks, Josh. I wanted to kind of stay on the Baltimore. Yesterday you were asked about the president's use of the word thug, and you said he wasn't going to walk it back. But I'm just wondering whether the president and his board of staff have been aware of the racial connotations of that. I mean, you had Richard Sherman sort of famously talked about it back a year ago or so. Did nobody think about that? I mean, Larry Wilmore last night was, et tu Obama for using that. It doesn't usually happen when it's like riots of school kids, or sports teams reacting vociferously to losses or wins sometimes. So I'm just wondering why you haven't acknowledged that the word might not have been well received.
Well, I think, Leslie, that the president was trying to draw a very clear distinction between individuals who engaged in criminal acts, like burning down a CVS or throwing a cinder block at a police officer, from the vast majority of people in the city of Baltimore who found a constructive and appropriate way to publicly raise their concerns about the treatment of Freddie Gray by the Baltimore Police Department. And the president is wholly supportive of those citizens who now, not just in Baltimore, but in places like New York and Houston and even here in Washington, D.C., where people have taken to the streets in a genuinely peaceful fashion to make their voice heard and to call for change and to insist on justice for Freddie Gray. That is a legitimate and even honorable expression of one's views in a responsible fashion. And the president is strongly supportive of that. The president also went to the next step of praising those individuals who actually sought to diffuse the violence. That we did see leaders in the community, many of them were members of the clergy, who did try to confront those who were engaged in criminal acts and get them to stop. And the president certainly believes that their courage in speaking out and trying to prevent that kind of violence and criminal behavior is also worthy of our praise and recognition. And the fact is, the president did use some tough language to differentiate between the responsible actions of the vast majority from the criminal actions of a very small group of individuals.
Right, but as the nation's, first black president, did he not realize that there might be some people would hear it in a different way, in a different context, and not listen as soon as that word was used?
Well, Leslie, I think it is entirely understandable that when you're talking about a subject as complicated as this one, that there might be a few people who get offended by one word or two. What the president was focused on is making sure that his message was delivered. And I don't think there was any misunderstanding what the president was trying to communicate. And I think I think that, if anything else, is a strong endorsement of the words he chose in answering the question in the Rose Garden on Tuesday or whatever day that was. All right.